Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name is Emma LaFave, and today we are doing a very loose watercolor floral piece, but focusing more on picking a color palette. So let's jump right in and start. Okay guys, so like I said, we are going to be doing a very loose floral piece and we are going to be focusing more on the color palette. So I have this amazing book called Palette Perfect and it is full of color palette references and they belong in different categories. Like this is mysterious, romantic, solitude, fresh, magical, like curiosity. Like there's so many references here and it's super incredible and inspiring. And this is what I'm going to use as a reference for a color palette for a floral painting today. So obviously you probably all don't have this book at home. You can follow the colors that I'm doing, or you can pull color palette ideas from Pinterest. That's a really great way of doing it as well. I've done that many times. I have a whole Pinterest board of different color palette ideas. Google, you can look in nature, look around your home, whatever speaks to you, that's what I want you to use today. We're going to be focusing more on using those colors to create something loose and kind of whimsical rather than the technique necessarily of something detailed and structured. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to pick a color palette. You know what? I was going to pick it at random, but I want to pick something that speaks to me, that I feel good. Although this is pretty. I'm really into greens and pinks, and there's like a lightish gray, so that might be a good idea. If you know me, I'm not too into the bright colors, but maybe I'll step out of my comfort zone as well. Like this is cool too. I kind of like this as well. This orange and like teal, and then this darker green and a blush color. I think I'm gonna go with this. If I can find this book on Amazon, I will link it. I got it at a bookstore, so I don't know if it's on Amazon. Probably is, but I highly suggest it for color references. But yeah, let's go with this. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to mix this. Hopefully I can somehow keep this open. You may also notice that I have a new setup. My husband is absolutely lovely and did this for me. Up my camera game, so that's why it looks a little bit different, and now you can see everything on my desk, which is great. Okay, so I'm gonna try and hold it here. This is a little difficult. I'm gonna move my paper out of the way and we're gonna focus on mixing these colors. Also, the brushes that I'm using today, I'm using different brushes. Princeton sent me a bunch of new brushes to try and I was super excited. These are part of the Princeton Neptune series. They are very soft, which is typically the brushes I don't like to use. And they hold water like no other. But you know what? I thought we're trying something new today. I'm going to use some new brushes and we're just going to see how it goes. So I have this size 12 round. I also have this 1.5 inch oval wash, which is really cool. I've never really used one of these. And then I have a size 4 round. So that's what we're using today. And I'm going to be painting on my Paul Rubens watercolor paper. Okay, let's get into mixing. So I probably should have cleaned my palette first. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. Kind of a clean palette. And let's start mixing. So I'm going to start off with this like blush tone color. And I'm just going to use some Permanent Rose. And it's a very, very light color. So we don't need a lot of pigment, just a little bit and then lots of water. So that's a bit too pink. So I'm going to add some orange because it's a bit more peachy. Add a bit of yellow. Still a bit more yellow than that. I think that is closer. And then we're just going to add a bunch of water here. Okay, I'll wash off my brush. Then let's do that orange. The orange looks like it's just like a straight orange. So I'm going to use my cadmium orange and just bring it over here. Maybe a little bit darker, so I'm going to use some cadmium red just to bring it over as well, make it a bit darker. There we go. Then we have this teal color. So I am going to take some sap green here. Right, because it's like a blue-green. And then a bit of turquoise. I feel like I need a bit more turquoise. A bit more turquoise. And that's pretty similar. And then lastly is that dark greenish color. So I'm going to use my Hooker's Green lots of hooker's green, and then some blue, some turquoise, and then some dioxazine purple. And there we go. Might have to make more of these colors later, but just if you need to write down your color combinations, you know, there's no shame in that. Do it. Do whatever works. And there we go. We have our color palette. So if it takes you a little bit longer to mix, you know, take your time, enjoy that. I love that part. I've just been doing this for a long time, so it's a little bit quicker. There we go. Here's a close-up of our color palette. Super awesome. And we're just gonna start painting. Let's move this over. So I have my green water, which I'm gonna use for my leaves and when I use the green tones. And when I'm picking up orange and the pink, I am going to use my other water. Or you can always use a cup for dirty water, a cup for clean water. I usually mix them up anyway and just end up having brown water. It's fine. Okay, so let's create something very loose. I'm gonna start off with this pink because I really like it. And I'm just gonna do like a big kind of lush, like petals. And I'm finding this brush, like I've played around with it a little bit, is great for these loose watercolors. It just has so much water, or carries so much water in it. It's really nice. Like that. Maybe I'll do another one. Pointing downwards, just using the brush to kind of create these really loose petals. Okay, like that. And you can always make it a little bit darker. Just because there's not a darker shade in the original palette doesn't mean you have to stick to that. That's kind of like that orangey pinky anyway. And I might just put a little bit in the center like that. I'm going to take some of that pigment off and maybe around the tips. Maybe you can do some extra lines, like let's be loose with it. So usually when I'm doing something very loose, I will hold my hand kind of vertically and just take my arm off the table and just kind of just draw really loosely. Like that. Why not? Right? Why not? All right. I wonder if we should do another one. Let's do another one that's a little bit smaller. I'm gonna take some more of that pigment off. There's no rules. Okay, it's like a bud or something. Okay, I'm gonna wash it off. Maybe the orange can be like some berries or something. So let's go with this green color now. I'm feeling like some really loose eucalyptus. So I'm just gonna use the shape of my brush to create these large kind of ovally strokes. Maybe some coming over here. No direction really. I did go for kind of like the rule of 3 with my flowers. You don't always have to do that, but that's just kind of like my go-to. I always go with 3. I'm going to take some of this darker green too, and I'm going to hit the stem of the eucalyptus while it's still wet. Just for fun. And it's super kind of bright and light and airy. I like that. Let's do a couple more down here. Just adding more water. And it depends on how much water you need to add for yours. Your paint brush might hold a different amount. So don't feel like you have to copy the times I dip my paintbrush in the water. I don't know if I like that. It's okay. I'm gonna grab some of that dark color again. Like that. Okay. Let's, see, I put it in the wrong water jar. That's okay. Let's create some of those like little Maybe they can be just like little kind of flowers. Just making some weird kind of bud shapes. Grab a bit more color. I was thinking of doing berries, but maybe more like little buds. Using the shape of my brush. Okay. Then I'm going to take the size 4 brush. It's nice and small. I'm going to create a bit more of that darker green color. So hooker's green, turquoise, and dioxazine purple. It's a bit too dark. And I'm just going to create little stems to these little orange buds. And then maybe some like little leaves or something. Now the trick of letting it bleed into the bud without it kind of overwhelming the bud is making sure you don't have too much water or paint on your brush. That's why I also switched to a smaller brush. But if it does bleed, that's okay too, right? Water it down a little. Cool. I actually like how this is turning out. Okay, then I'm going to take this fun oval wash brush and I'm going to do some darker leaves. It's cool. I feel like they end up with like these jagged leaf shapes with this brush, which is neat. I've never owned one of these before. And just kind of fill it in where you think it could use some shapes, maybe in the middle here, wherever you feel like it works. There's no wrong way to do this. Just pick your color palette and lay down some like petal shapes. This is a cool brush to make leaves with. I like this. There you go. You can add more color to your leaves if you want. Lines, whatever. I think I might add like a little bit of an orangey yellow in the center of these flowers. Maybe like some fun stamens. Just some like curly, weird. I don't even know what flower this is. No expectation of how it's supposed to be, okay? Just kind of go and do it. No rules. I like how it looks. It looks so cool. I think I might do a bit more lines and stuff on. Just, again, my brush is very loose in my hand, and I'm just gonna kind of draw outlines of petals. I don't know if that looks good or not. Could have just left it. It's fun though. I think that looks cool. Could do the same thing with some of the leaves too if you want. Just go around them with a really light hand. Kind of like messily outline some. Why not? Just kind of create some style. And if it works, that's great. If it doesn't work, try it again. It really doesn't matter. I think I'm gonna stop there. I feel like it looks really cool though, and I love the way it turned out. And knowing what my color palette was super helpful in creating a beautiful piece. I think that is one of the most important elements of painting. So there you go. So try it again with a different color palette, try a different layout of flowers. You could just do even like lines, stripes, patterns, whatever you want, but really try and gain some inspiration for color palettes and see where it takes you. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye!